The women's 200 meter heats at the World Championships are over, which means we have a pretty good idea now of who should be standing on the podium. But to be real with you, I probably could have told you this before the gun went off, because Gabby Thomas, the Olympic gold medalist, will not be on the starting line. She pulled out before the Worlds even started. And then Julian Alfred, who was the Olympic silver medalist in this event, also pulled out after the 100. So, what are we really left with? Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, of America, is the second fastest woman on the clock this year in the 200, even though we've never seen her compete at a world level championship in that event. Well, up until now. And Shericka Jackson, who I've gone on record to say is the fastest woman in this generation, and it's really not close. I think everybody knows that, not just on the clock, but her dominance attests to it. We're just waiting for her to be a version of herself to bring another gold medal back to Jamaica. So going into these heats, I'm actually not going to tell you every single heat, like 1, 2, 3, 4, who got what place. We're just going to focus on the winners for the most part, and anybody who stands out as a real threat to make the final. But let's be real. I'm really trying to dig through all of these names to figure out who might have a shot to get to the podium, because that's all that really matters anyway. So, Shericka Jackson, when she goes out for her heat, she wins it in about 22.3. I think it was like 22.33. I'm going off head. And even though Amy Hunt, I believe with Amy Hunt, who was of Great Britain, who was in her heat and made it look pretty interesting, for the most part, Shericka Jackson out in lane 9 took care of business. That's very important when I say 22.3, because it gives you a general benchmark to understand about how fast you should be going to make it look like the final is going to be a real run for the podium. Again, about how fast. Things could change, but generally speaking, because Melissa Jefferson-Wooden ran 22.24 in her heat, and she won that one without much challenge. She even walked it in a little bit to the line. But there were 4 American women in 4 different heats. And that's even without Gabby Thomas, and they all won their heats. The best one of all, like the best looking, was the Navy Battle. She went 22.07, again, entirely off head right now. That's just what I remember. And that was probably the strongest heat as far as like the fastest time that we saw on the clock, throughout all of the different, heats that went off. And we know that this is not her first time competing on the world stage. It's just her first time getting back to it in a little while. So a Navy Battle is looking pretty good, not just for the final, but to make a run for the podium. But she is not alone, because Brittany Brown, Olympic bronze medalist, still took care of business. The only medalist who's, back in this field. She won her heat in about 22.5. And then Mackenzie Long, who was a late addition, because when Gabby Thomas pulled out, America had to call somebody else. And Mackenzie Long was that woman. She was in the Olympic final last year and went 22.5 in this heat. It was a little bit slower than most of the other qualifiers. I think it was like 22.5, low to mid. But hey, she won her heat. She moves on. Dina Asher-Smith of Great Britain was the only other heat winner. And that's not all that surprising, because she has medals in the past from the 200 meter dash. Either way, those are the women at the top. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, and if you really want to know what's going on with the fastest athletes in the world, then you are in the right place. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. The only other name that you might recognize, if you start scrolling down the list, you'll see Daryl Nita of Great Britain. She was a time qualifier. Marie-Josée Talu-Smith, she was of Cote d'Ivoire. She was also a time qualifier. When we start talking about the final, yes, somebody on the list I just mentioned, like a name could be shaken up. But for the most part, we kind of have a good idea now of who's going to be there, especially when you take out the women at the top who aren't running. And when it comes to the podium, it's starting to feel like, to me, there's really only one medal up for grabs. We don't know what order, but it does feel like it's going to be hard for most people to go with the pace that Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is going to set. She's already run 21.8 this year. Let's just assume that she's going to go 21 something in the final. The only question, if you want a podium spot, is can you go at that pace? We know historically, Shericka Jackson can go at that pace and then some. So you've got to see her as a legitimate threat for the podium who could actually win gold. We're still waiting to see what the old Shericka Jackson looked like again. But she might be back. And if she is, there you have it. I'm not really looking past her at that moment. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden herself, we already know what the benchmark is going to be. I say 21 something. That's what I expect in the final. It could be a new PR. She's run a whole bunch of them. But that's at least right now where I'm parking it. And then when you move past that, Brittany Brown, who was there in the Olympic final last year, very well might be there again. But it's going to be her in a Navy battle, as far as I can tell, pushing for the line. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I'm not saying that the other fast women in the world don't have a chance at the podium. I'm just saying that chance is looking really slim right now. Let's be real. Let's talk about the Shericka Jackson experience. This is the woman who's run 21-4, touched 21-3, 20-5, made these things look made it look easy. Like running away from the world. That's what we remember her doing in 2023 and 2022. In 2024, the fact that she wasn't on the Olympic stage, able to compete, is almost criminal because the rest of the world, like the non-track world, doesn't really know just how great she actually is. And the emergence of Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is something that kind of feels like it came out of left field. But I think now that it's been an entire season of dominance with a gold medal to go with it, we kind of have to let that narrative go. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden is here, and she ain't planning on going anywhere. You have to view her as not just a threat anymore. She's a problem. She's something that you're going to have to deal with if you really want to compete on the highest levels. And a lot of people just don't have the firepower to run with what she's going to do, especially the first half of her race. Because more or less, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden has shown speed endurance in the back half of her races while being able to crush your spirit in the first half of the race. In other words, she runs the first half in a 100 and a 200, daring you to come catch her. And most people just don't have it like that. So, the 200-meter heats are in the books. The semifinals are coming soon. But, hey, we still got to run the races. So something unforeseen could happen. But for now, I don't think this podium is anywhere near as wide open as people might want to believe. Because Shericka Jackson and Melissa Jefferson-Wooden are going to be there. And the only question for everybody else in the world is, can you go with the pace when it's time to run the final? In the sport of track and field, confidence is everything, because when you win, that is just the moment when everybody else finds out what you already knew to be true, that fast is a lifestyle. Get your fast is a lifestyle track and field gear at scarecruiting.com/shop, or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.